Hey there, I'm Ryan Cooley, one of the engineers on ProcessMaker 4, and really quickly I want to take you through a brief demonstration of our validation in our forms. So, in this example, we are creating an onboarding form, customer onboarding form. So I've added that to my process here. And here is, of course, the screen designer. So you can see here I have just a really simple form just for demonstration purposes. So I've got first name, middle name, last name, email, and country. You can see here that I already have some validation messages coming up. That's because I've preset these fields to have validation enabled. So you can see here we have first name, and it is set to required. Middle name is not set to required because some people don't have a middle name, or maybe they don't want to share their middle name. So we have that, we don't have required enabled on that one. Last name we have required enabled because, of course, we want to collect the user's last name. Email address, we have it set to email because we want to make sure that that is an email address. And then country, we have a more advanced one called regex, and that stands for regular expression. I'll go into a little bit of detail on that in just a moment. So just to give you a demonstration of how the existing validation works, I'm going to click on the preview button here. You can see it already tells me where the validation errors in my form are, so I'm going to go ahead and fill them out. There you go. And you can see my validation errors have gone away. And now when I hit save, my form was submitted. Now, there are some changes I want to make to this form. So, for example, one thing that I didn't do on the previous form is I didn't fill out the email address field. So even though we have validation set up on that field for email, it's not checking to see whether whether an empty string is an email address or not. So I'm going to add two validation rules. The nice thing about our validation built into ProcessMaker 4 is you can add as many validation rules as you want. So I'm going to click Add Rule. I'm going to scroll down here. You can see we have a lot of options. We have accepted, after date, after or equal to date. So our validation works on every type of, almost every type of field that we support in ProcessMaker 4, including the date picker, the line input, text areas, and select lists. So you can see here we have a ton of options. I'm not going to go through each of them. That's a more in-depth video, but I just wanted to give you an example of a couple of them. So I'm going to go scroll down here to required. I'm going to click save. Now you can see I have the email address field is required validation message showing up. So now when I go to fill out this form again, I'm going to fill in my first name, last name. I'm going to skip email address just like I did last time. I'm going to try and click save, but I can't because it knows the field is required. So I'm going to go ahead and start entering something here. And you can see it's telling me my field must be a valid email address. So until I get to the point where it looks like a valid email address, which is here, it won't let me submit. So now I can click submit, and there we go. So just one final example for you is the country field. I told you I was going to show you a little bit about regular expressions. Regular expressions are also very complex, definitely the subject of another video or maybe an entire series of videos, but I just wanted to give you an example of the kind of thing you could do really simply with regular expressions. So let's say our company currently only serves North America. So we serve the United States, Canada, and Mexico. So we probably, in that case, don't support Switzerland. So this validation here allows those three country codes to be selected. So now if I go back here to this preview and I choose one of those three, you can see the validation is okay for that field. But if I click on Switzerland, it tells me I have an invalid value. So if you're designing a form and you want to make sure that if someone else comes along and decides to add options to that form later, you want to make sure that it adheres to a specific validation. Maybe you have a validation in your process that makes sure it's one of these countries. So you can use regular expressions to do that. Now, if I want to add support for Switzerland, I can simply type in the country code of Switzerland, which is CH. I'm going to hit update. And I'm going to go back here. You can see it's currently an invalid value because nothing is selected. If I select Mexico, of course, it goes away. If I select Switzerland now, that's a valid value now that I've added it to that list. So that is just a quick overview of validation in ProcessMaker 4.